Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are diving deep into a monumental vision of human possibility, a concept so comprehensive, really, and ambitious, that it demands nothing less than a global transformation. Our source material calls this idea a renaissance in all the strata of life, but the truest, most fundamental meaning is, well, a total universal reawakening.
And this isn't just, about reviving old culture or starting some new intellectual trend.
Right.
This is about shaking off what the source vividly terms a Sumerian slumber, this deep, almost suffocating sleep of human potential.
Wow, Sumerian slumber.
Yeah, and initiating concrete, rational progress across every single facet of our existence.
And the scope is just breathtaking. The source immediately gives us this essential map, the structure for this profound fight.
It does.
It breaks the entirety of human experience down into three essential strata: the physical, the psychic, and the spiritual.
That's the framework.
So our mission today is to map out this required reawakening, making sure we understand the specific, required battles against inequality in all three domains simultaneously.
And what's fascinating here, right from the start, is the core premise. Progress is basically meaningless. It's even a dangerous illusion if it's achieved in one area while being completely compartmentalized from the others.
Okay, so you can't separate them.
Exactly. You can't have spiritual unity if half the world is starving. You can't have economic equality if the mind is just riddled with dogma.
Right, it all connects.
We are looking at a framework for total societal transformation, demanding battles in the world of matter, the world of the mind, and the world of spirit all at once.
That sets the stage beautifully. Let's start then with the stratum most people probably think they know best, the physical renaissance. The world of matter, technology, basic social organization. So when most people today think of physical progress, they immediately jump to, rapid technological advance.
Sure, that's the common view.
We're constantly hearing that the 20th century, or maybe now the 21st, is the definitive age of science. But the source material immediately challenges this.
It really does.
And I find the historical context it provides is absolutely necessary here.
It's necessary because it kind of dismantles the hubris of the modern era, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The source states emphatically, no, the 20th century is not the age of science. Science, defined as systematic knowledge, inquiry. It's been associated with human life since its very birth.
Which the source puts out about 1 million years ago.
About 1 million years ago, yeah. Science isn't some recent privileged invention. It's an enduring quality of the human journey. It's perennial.
Perennial.
As long as a single human being exists, there will be an age of science.
So the critique isn't a rejection of scientific inquiry itself. That's crucial.
Not at all.
It's a rejection of its modern application. And here's where the analysis gets really sharp, I think.
Yeah, the source delivers the pretty blunt critique of contemporary scientific priorities.
It says science today often means creating new weapons, strengthening the hands of warmongers.
Right, becoming a servant of destructive political power.
Exactly, which is a total deviation from its proper spirit.
And the vision laid out by this Renaissance movement is, well, it's radical, but also profoundly optimistic.
How so?
The spirit of science must be restored to its proper purpose, utilized primarily for service and beatitude.
Service and beatitude.
It should be pursued just like art science for the pure, unadulterated progress and welfare of human society.
Wait, let's pause on that word. Beatitude. For a lot of listeners, that probably sounds purely spiritual, like, happiness in an afterlife sense.
Right.
How does the source reconcile scientific advancement like creating better energy or curing disease with beatitude?
That is a crucial question. And beatitude, in this context, it's defined not just as spiritual happiness, but as supreme collective welfare and lasting inner contentment.
Okay, collective welfare.
So, if science is utilized for service, meaning meeting the minimum requirements of all people, improving longevity, improving health, then it inherently leads to beatitude. The moment science gets hijacked for aggression, for weapons production that threatens our very existence, it moves away from beatitude toward misery. The source does note, weapons might be necessary sometimes.
Okay.
But only for providing security for good ideas and good people, never for strengthening aggressors.
So it's a definition of scientific ethics based purely on utility for a collective positive transformation.
Precisely. It establishes a moral baseline for technology.
And if we carry that spirit of service into the social realm, the mandate is crystal clear.
What's that?
The primary non-negotiable goal of social progress is to dispel all social disparities, to achieve equality, equilibrium, and equipoise.
Those 3 E's, they're the foundation. Equality is pretty self-explanatory: equal opportunities, equal rights.
Right.
Equilibrium is that balance where no one group dominates another, economically or socially. But equipoise, that's the dynamic balance. A continuous, stable harmony that's maintained even as society changes and evolves.
So it's not static, it's active justice.
Exactly. An active, ongoing justice. The goal is viewing every single member of human society as having equal rights, fundamentally functioning like members of the same family.
Now, this concept of equality takes a really revolutionary turn when the movement demands fighting biological disparity.
Yes. This is where frameworks like neo-humanism come in.
It makes a truly paradigm-shifting demand. It calls for fighting disparities encouraged by selfish people, even those between human, animal, and plant life.
This is the cosmological scale of the reawakening, you see.
Explain that.
We're asked to recognize that just as a human's life is dear to them, the lives of a pigeon or a cow or even a tree are equally dear to them.
That challenges centuries of human-centric thinking.
Completely. The universal right to live is presented as the birthright of the animal and plant worlds to remain on this earth.
And the Renaissance movement has to ensure this right is recognized by all of humanity.
That's the mandate.
Okay, I have to push back a little bit here, just playing devil's advocate. Is this a truly rational goal, or is it maybe a utopian dream that ignores things like, natural predation or the practicalities of resource management? How can humanity rationally ensure the birthright of every tree and every microbe?
That skepticism is fair, it's understandable, but the source insists this is a rational goal.
How?
It connects it directly back to the fight against human selfishness. See, if we allow selfish logic to declare humanity the sole patrimony of the earth, it legitimizes oppression and exploitation among humans as well. It sets a precedent.
I see the link.
By recognizing the inherent value and right to existence of all created beings, which is central to neo-humanism, we're fundamentally rooting out the core logic of greed itself.
So it sets a universal standard of respect.
Exactly. It demands that resource management becomes cooperative, not exploitative. It challenges that deeply entrenched notion that humanity has this unilateral dominion over the entire ecosystem. So moving from those natural biological disparities, the source then turns its focus inward to the deeper human-created societal fault lines, the things that must be rooted out to achieve a true physical renaissance.
Right.
And they identify 3 major human-created inequalities that are basically blocking our progress toward that ideal of equipoise.
And the first is the staggering disparity of caste and class. This is the glaring inequality we see everywhere, globally.
Absolutely.
Where, as the source points out so starkly, people in one country die of starvation while others, maybe next door, die of overeating of voracity.
Such a powerful contrast.
And the source is absolutely clear. This economic disparity isn't divine, it's not natural. It is the creation of selfish people. All people possess equal glamour, equal inherent worth as human beings. This systematic inequality based on artificial socioeconomic strata, it just has to cease.
It has to. And the second disparity, the utterly irrational one based on color.
Right. Differences in complexion, white, black, yellow, these are just external facts.
Caused by geography, history.
Proximity to the equator, migration patterns, things like that. They aren't innate differences in capacity or spirit.
Absolutely not. Therefore, the source concludes there is zero rational basis for social disparity or special scriptures or anything based on color.
It's just an external detail that's been weaponized for millennia.
Precisely. And a reawakened society has to reject this mechanism of division entirely.
And the third, and perhaps the most pervasive historical injustice discussed, is the disparity based on sex or gender.
Yes, and the source pulls no punches here.
No, it details the humiliation, the injustice faced by women, being debarred from many socio-political rights, lacking voting rights well into the modern era.
Treated like cattle, sacks of cloth, or slaves. The language is strong.
Incredibly strong. To subject women to such indignities, the source says, is far worse than to whip them publicly.
That analogy. It's meant to highlight the cruelty of structural oppression over time, isn't it?
That's how I read it.
Whipping is painful, yes, but treating half the population as less than human as property, as subordinated labor, That damages the very foundation of society, the collective psyche.
So what's the solution offered?
The only viable solution proposed is a future where society operates under a coordinated, cooperative leadership between males and females.
Coordinated and cooperative. Not just equal access, but shared leadership.
Exactly. The source firmly rejects both male domination and any system that allows for subordinated female leadership.
Makes sense. If 50% of the population, the ladies, as the source says, remain downtrodden,
then there can be no all-round progress. It's mathematically impossible and morally bankrupt.
This ambition extends directly then into the sphere of political and economic life. In politics, the source addresses that persistent inequality where one group exploits another. And the political mandate given is crucial and, I think, highly progressive. It says the political sphere should be ruled by moralist people.
Moralist people, that's a key concept.
People who can guide society toward righteousness.
And moralist people here implies a leadership selected not just for, technical skill or popularity.
Right, not just charisma.
But for their commitment to universal human welfare and moral rectitude. Immoral people, people guided by selfishness, simply cannot lead society forward.
And this moralist leadership, it has to base its political life on universalism.
Yes, the unity of all humanity.
Yeah.
But, and this is important, while still being practical enough to address the specific local conditions and problems of particular regions.
So it's a balance, global vision, local wisdom.
Exactly. That's the idea.
Okay, now we hit the economic core. The absolute non-negotiable.
Yes, the fundamental essentiality.
The minimum requirements must be guaranteed to one and all. The source says there can be no second thought or adjustment concerning this point.
No wiggle room.
This means guaranteeing the minimum purchasing requirement for everyone, ensuring survival and dignity are universal birthrights.
And this is where we have to look at the critical context the source provides. It critiques the prevailing economic realities fiercely.
How so?
It notes that, open colonialism might be mostly gone.
Mostly.
Indirect colonialism persists. Economic control exerted through debt, through trade rules, capital flow.
Neocolonialism.
Exactly. Furthermore, it explicitly rejects outdated Marxism.
Right, it mentions that.
Noting it has proven ineffective, unsuccessful in practical implementation anywhere in the world. It urges a proper assessment of these misleading economic ideas.
That's a bold rejection of major historical systems, both capitalism's colonial tendencies and state Marxism.
It is.
So, if the source rejects both persistent colonialism and failed Marxism, what concrete, optimistic structure does it actually propose? How do you practically deliver that minimum purchasing power to everyone?
Yeah, how do you move from the current system to guaranteed sufficiency? Well, the source implies the necessity of a new economic paradigm, one based on rationality and ethical distribution.
Okay.
While the full economic details are, extensive and probably beyond this particular dive,
Sure.
The key principles emerge clearly. Economic life must be guided by those moralist leaders we talked about.
Right.
Production must be cooperative and ideally localized. And wealth must be distributed based on the principle of maximum utilization and rational distribution.
Maximum utilization, rational distribution.
By eliminating the two extremes, capitalistic exploitation on one side and central planning failure on the other, the focus shifts.
Yeah.
It shifts to decentralized economic democracy.
Where ensuring the minimum purchasing capacity is the primary duty.
Control the local economy.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a structure designed to prioritize human necessity over capital accumulation.
Which seems like the only way to actually achieve that non-negotiable guarantee.
That's the argument.
And before we leave the physical stratum entirely, we have to quickly touch on culture and education.
Right. Culture, defined as the collection of human expressions.
Must be understood as one unified culture. The culture of the entire human race is one.
Yes. Local expressions, art, music, traditions, they aren't separate cultures in this view.
They're just unique expressions of that single, fundamental human culture.
Exactly. And this unified view then informs education. Education must be free.
Free for all.
And based on universalism, while also, again, considering local conditions, local problems, local requirements, when formulating the actual structure and curriculum.
That balance, again, universal principles, local application. That unified vision is actually a perfect transition into our next section, the internal and relational challenges. the psychic renaissance.
The realm of the mind.
This stratum focuses on fighting psychophysical and pure psychic ailments, the things that internally divide and stunt the human mind. Progress here, the source says, should be unbarred and unaffected.
Unbarred and unaffected. And this is a monumental challenge because the most profound disease identified in this stratum, it's the disease of dogma. We're talking about defective ideas, often injected into the mind since childhood, way before rational thought fully develops.
So they become hard to shake off rationally. They feel like part of your identity.
Exactly. And the source argues dogma is the root cause of our societal division. It leads to this relentless, tragic cycle.
It's a devastating observation of our history, isn't it?
It really is. Human society is divided into different nations.
Then nations divided into different religions.
Religions divided into castes.
Castes into subcastes.
This just goes on and on. We have only learned how to divide and subdivide humanity, never how to unite.
And this is attributed entirely to defective teachings, to dogma.
That's the core argument. And this fragmentation gives rise to the most dangerous, selfish beliefs.
Such as?
The worst dogma, the one that breeds the most conflict, is the idea that my group, my religion, my nation is somehow the blessed beings of the supreme entity.
And everyone else is cursed or inferior.
Precisely. This is exactly what opportunists introduce to exploit divisions and maintain power.
So the Renaissance movement demands an endless, undaunted struggle against these psychophysical diseases.
Endless and undaunted. Even when fighting beliefs that are deeply entrenched in society, held for generations.
So how does one rationally fight an idea, a dogma that was, as you said, injected into someone's mind since childhood before they even developed critical thinking? That seems incredibly difficult.
It is incredibly difficult. The only weapon proposed is intense, rational engagement combined with the introduction of a superior universal philosophy.
A counter-narrative based on unity.
Exactly. Which moves us to the physico-psychic ailments. These are defective thoughts guiding actions in the physical world, especially those rooted in excessive greed.
Okay.
And the source uses a really striking anecdote here to expose the fundamental absurdity of this greed-driven logic. It just instantly exposes the irrationality of anthropocentrism.
Oh, yes. The fallacy used to justify destructive practices. The argument that animals must be consumed to prevent them from overpopulating the earth like goats or chickens or cattle.
We'll actually use that logic.
Apparently to cover up simple greed, according to the source.
And the counter-argument provided is brilliant in its simplicity.
It is. If this flawed logic were true, that if we don't eat them, they'll overrun the planet, then the world should logically be overrun by every creature humans don't eat, right?
Right. Why isn't the entire globe just packed shoulder to shoulder with vultures and earthworms?
Exactly. The logic immediately falls apart. Since humans don't consume vultures, the world should be flooded with them by that reasoning, yet it's not.
It's clearly not. So the source concludes this defective reasoning stems only from excessive greed. People are just searching for flimsy logic to cover up their weakness, their desire.
Right.
This sort of cunning, this defective psychology. The belief that we humans are destined to rule and other creatures are destined to be ruled by us.
It must be fought fiercely.
Fiercely.
And the strong, necessary weapon against this inherent flaw is neo-humanism. We've mentioned it a couple of times, but let's define it clearly now in this context.
Okay. Neo-humanism is essentially a progressive philosophy that rejects the idea of humans as the superior, entitled ruler of the universe.
It challenges human exceptionalism.
Directly. It recognizes that the universe is for all. It is not the exclusive patrimony of human beings only.
So this reawakening requires us to elevate our thinking beyond that narrow anthropocentrism.
Yes. Extending love and rational respect not just to all humanity, but to all created beings. Animals, plants, even inanimate objects, in a sense of respecting the entire system.
It's the philosophical counterweight to all forms of exploitation and greed.
That's a good way to put it.
Finally, in the pure psychic level, we deal with the most insidious forms of exploitation.
Which are?
Defective thoughts that lead individuals or groups to actively suppress and oppress others. This causes vast sections of the populace to suffer from deep psychic depression.
And psychic depression here isn't just clinical sadness, is it?
No, it's the collective suffering. The weight on the human spirit caused when groups are systematically denied their rights, their dignity, their opportunities by oppressive philosophies.
Like apartheid or caste systems or systemic racism.
Exactly. Those kinds of structures breed psychic depression on a massive scale.
So the movement must be proactive, saving society from the clutches of these exploitative philosophies that darken the collective human mind.
And prevent rational, optimistic progress. Okay, we've tackled the physical requirements for equality, the psychic necessity of eliminating dogma and greed. Now we move to the final, highest level of reawakening, the spiritual stratum.
The ultimate context.
This is where the physical and psychic efforts must align and find their ultimate meaning.
Right. This pinnacled movement starts with what the source calls the psycho-spiritual stratum. This is where all ideas must ultimately coincide and move toward the supreme entity.
The path here is described as the synthetic path.
Yes, where everything converges toward unity, toward integration, synthesis.
But the source cautions us strongly against the alternative path.
Very strongly. If the movement is extroversial or analytical, focused on breaking things down, dividing, analyzing components,
It becomes incredibly dangerous in the spiritual realm.
it leads directly to the creation of spiritual disparity.
And we've certainly witnessed this danger throughout history.
Constantly. Disparities created in the false name of religion, where dogma leads to, well, sanguinary battles.
Hatred, violence.
A crippling lack of reliance and credence between groups who should be united. This is the failure of the analytical mind when it's misapplied to spiritual concepts. It just fragments unity into rigid, opposing structures.
So the panacea for all these psychophysical and psychic ailments, the cure,
Yes.
is reliance only on the pinnacled entity, the apexed entity,
The supreme consciousness.
who is described as the only savior and the ultimate goal of life.
So by focusing on that singular, synthetic point of unity,
The divisive dogma we talked about earlier in the psychic realm is stripped of its power.
that's the idea. It loses its ultimate authority when faced with the singular source.
This leads us then to the pure spiritual stratum, the natural path, the path of progressive evolution, Sanikarta, I believe the term is.
Sadhikara, yes. Forward movement towards the nucleus.
This path is to convert everything into spirituality.
Everything.
In the realm of learning, language, studies, solidarity, this conversion must encompass the entire existence.
So integrating our physical efforts, our psychic clarity, into a singular spiritual quest.
It sounds like integrating one's highest purpose into every mundane action rather than, compartmentalizing spirituality as just a Sunday activity or a meditation practice.
Precisely. It's the elevation of existence itself,
Yeah.
not separating the sacred from the secular.
A danger, however,
There's always a danger.
is the negative path, negative patisanikara, which is devolution.
Moving away from the nucleus, backwards.
Due to defective philosophy, people are moving backward, converting spirit into mind and mind into matter.
Okay, explain this devolution. Converting spirit into mind and mind into matter. In
Right.
practical modern terms, what does that actually look like in society today?
That's a great question. Well, I think it looks like extreme materialism
Okay.
and the loss of conscious purpose beyond just stuff. If you convert spirit into mind, maybe you reduce infinite spiritual capacity into limited intellectual dogma, like we discussed, or purely cerebral analysis. You lose that universal connection.
Right, reducing the infinite to the finite logic.
And if you convert mind into matter, well, you reduce human purpose, emotional depth, everything to mere material consumption.
Instant gratification.
The relentless pursuit of physical resources, what he earlier called veracity, getting and spending.
So this reversal, this devolution, is fundamentally detrimental to human progress.
Because it prioritizes fragmentation and gross materiality over synthesis and higher consciousness. It pulls us down, not lifts us up.
Which explains why the call for this renaissance is presented as so urgent, so immediate.
Exactly. If society is already on that path of devolution.
And Renaissance people, as the source calls them, must raise their voices and fight this fragmentation now.
There's no time to waste.
Indeed. The scope of this movement is vast, it brooks no delay, and crucially, the source insists it is fully supported by rationality.
It's not just wishful thinking.
No, it's a movement powered by logic, by compassion, and by the ambition for universal welfare across all three strata of existence: physical, psychic, spiritual.
It really is the ultimate optimistic charge for human civilization, isn't it? To finally fulfill its immense potential. Hashtag tag outro.
It truly is. What an incredible map of universal change we've explored.
We really have. We've defined a massive undertaking here, shifting science from creating weapons to fostering universal service and beatitude.
Guaranteeing those minimum economic requirements for every single person on Earth.
Implementing truly cooperative gender leadership.
Fighting that greed-driven biological disparity using the framework of neo-humanism.
And eliminating the root causes of human division through aggressive, rational engagement with dogma, it covers everything.
The source presents it as a fully unified theory of change. It connects the physical problem, like starvation in one country,
Yeah.
to the psychophysical disease of dogma,
Right?
and traces those issues all the way up to the danger of spiritual devolution, that process of converting mind and spirit back into crude materialism,
The solution is always integrated. Physical reforms need psychic unity.
which in turn depends on spiritual synthesis. You can't fix one without the others.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? This deep dive suggests that true progress isn't incremental. It's not piecemeal.
Oh.
It requires an immediate, rational, and collective reawakening across all spheres of existence, physical, psychic, and spiritual.
It asks us to believe in and work towards a world ruled by moralist people.
Guided by a philosophy of universal love and respect for all created beings.
And the final provocative thought the source leaves us with is this. The true measure of a society's advancement lies not in its scientific achievements alone,
Important as they are,
but in how quickly it can recognize the equal birthright to life shared by all created beings, human, animal, and plant.
that's the real benchmark.
We appeal to you, listening now, to consider joining this cause to help make this world a better place for all. If you like these revolutionary, progressive concepts of universal economic justice, philosophical unity,
Concepts core to the Prout movement.
we highly recommend you explore the Vipra's movement channels. You can find links in our description. It's a way to join this ongoing rational reawakening.
So the question for you this week is, what concrete action can you take, maybe starting small, to recognize the universal rights of a being outside the human sphere? How can you move us one step closer, personally, to that total renaissance?
Think about it.
Thank you for diving deep with us.